Going live. And we're live. Welcome to Americana, episode 2. I'm Sal Caldonado, here with my good friend Mike Bocchetti.
Hi, guys. Hi, America. Other countries that love us. I think there's a couple left.
Gonna work on this one first.
Well, this one's good. It's just a little disheveled right now.
Yeah, we're glad to be back over here again. Just wanted to play a little catch up real quick. I don't know if you noticed when I shared out tonight's episode, the preview first on Instagram and stuff. I kept the same artwork that we had from when we were at the Gonzo Network that Doc Ivan made you.
Oh, yeah.
I made that decision because of how we were treated after the fact, right? So I just want to brush on that for a second. We separated. Who cares about how that went? It was really nothing, and it happened. They wanted me gone. Mike said, I'm going with Sal, and now we're doing this. But anyway, so everything was all cool and stuff like that. And then after we did our first episode of this show, where we just explained how we were no longer on Gonzo with testosterone, now it's Americana, they put out that they were going to expose us for the lies we tell on one of their episodes. And then the next day, Brian Peterson, who's like, I think Jeff's right-hand guy.
I haven't talked to any of them.
Yeah, well, anyway, Brian put out something the next day saying he was going to expose 2 chumps from New York, meaning you and me. So all I want to say about that is I messaged Brian in a text message, and I said, what the hell, man? We were always cool. And you know what he told me? He said, oh, I have no beef with you. It's just entertainment like pro wrestling.
Well, pro wrestling is a zillion-dollar media right now.
Yeah, right. But the point is that whatever they were saying they were going to expose, it was all based on fakeness. They just do it because they're not talented, so they can't make content themselves. So they got to make like fake drama, like reality TV.
It's like reading one of those shit rag magazines.
Right, like a tabloid. But that's not how I like to broadcast, Mike. No. I like when we just talk about our lives and do real stuff. So
of course.
That's it. That's done. Now we're out. Here we are. Mike, you did Comics Watching Comics.
Well, I'm going to put that aside for a minute. I'm dying to hear about Prague, New York.
Oh, you want to go to Prague?
How much I love history in America, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, so Lisa, who's in the back there, 8 months pregnant, we trekked around Prague in the Czech Republic. It was awesome, Mike. It was awesome. What do you want to know about it?
I think, right now, the way our country is, we're severely hated in a lot of other places. Maybe not all the people here, but what our government's doing, other people possibly. Who knows? But what I want to know is, when I seen the pictures you guys took, it blew my mind. Some of the things you had, it just freaked me out. I never seen anything like 1,400 years old or 900 years old.
Well, I think the oldest we saw was like 700 years old. But yeah,
because that's still, Sal. What's the oldest thing in America? Burger King in 1969?
I think whatever was created. Well, I don't know. I mean, they came over to America in 1492. I don't know if any structures still stand, but there was some stuff from the 1400s there. Because that place, back then, it was Czechoslovakia during World War II. But before that, you go back a bunch before that, hundreds of years, it was Bohemia. And one of their kings, Charles IV, who's considered their greatest leader, he was once Holy Roman Emperor. So I guess you'd have.
Oh, so they're Christians, right? Or just
not really. See, I don't even know where to start with this because you know how in all of Europe, all the different countries will have kings and such. Oh, yeah. And then when the Catholic Church was in charge of everything, or was the main religion, they would anoint a Holy Roman Emperor who was a king from one of these countries who was considered chosen by God, and he'd be like the next higher power up. I guess you would consider him like the president of the UN, Oh,
nice. I thought it was like the Pope had him under his thumb. That's
what he wanted. So that led to some wars because sometimes the Holy Roman Emperor decided he was going to do things his way.
Let me tell you something, Sal, right? I thought for a long time the Pope was like one of the best people on the planet. Centuries ago, those guys had an army of psychos to dispatch on people if they wanted to.
Yeah, well, it was cool because it turns out they are the third. The Czech Republic is the third most atheist country in the world.
Really?
Yeah. So now the thing was back then when they were Bohemia, before they went Catholic, they were also atheist. And the story goes that there was a meeting of leaders from the different countries, and all the great leaders sat at a dais in the feast high above the regular people. But the king of Bohemia, I forgot his name, begins with a B or a G. It's like Gorman or something like that. They wouldn't let him sit at the table. And he said, well, I'm the king of Bohemia. Why can't I sit up there with the other kings? And they told him, well, you're not Catholic like us. So he said, okay. I'll convert to Catholicism. So he literally converted to Catholicism just to get a better seat at the table. So they say it was never taken seriously to begin with, but once they became Catholic, the structures and the churches there, amazing, Mike.
I seen it. I was like, it blew my mind. And the thing about the Romans, Sal, Constantine, I think, brought Christianity to the Roman Empire. Before that, they had all kinds of gods over there and everything.
Well, yeah, he made the Roman Empire Catholic. So past that, when it spread to the rest of Europe, they were pagans and such. And in Czech Republic, at least Bohemia at the time, he chose Catholicism for his country so he could be more well accepted. And what's crazy about it is they consider Prague to be the most well preserved from medieval times. All the structures, the most well preserved city in all of Europe. And the reason for that is during World War II, Hitler protected Prague and made sure it didn't get attacked, and also didn't conduct any war operations there as much as he could, because his idea was after World War II was over and the Nazis won, he was going to retire to Prague. He wanted that to be his retirement city.
Wow.
So he made sure it was kept,
I figured that probably the most battled countries over there are probably England, France, Scotland, Ireland. All those guys were fighting for centuries over there.
Well, it was all of them, because there's a tower there, right, called the Powder Tower. That's in the city. It was a few blocks from where we were staying. A lot of things are all in walking distance there. And the Powder Tower was the old gate to the city of Prague back when it was Bohemia. And when in the 1600s, Bohemia was at war with Sweden. And Sweden actually, they damaged that tower. I went up in it, took some pictures. They damaged the tower coming in, but it's still standing there today. And you saw certain things, like there was this church, right, called you might have seen it in a lot of my pictures. It had the two towers on it.
Yeah.
Right, that was the Church of the Mother of God. I forgot how to say it in Czech. And one thing I didn't notice until we took the tour and the tour guide pointed it out, you could see in the pictures, Mike, the church is there at the towers, and it looks like it's behind the restaurant. Well, you know what they did one day with this beautiful church that was built 700 years ago? They built the restaurant like onto the face of the church, because they decided, let's build this new modern restaurant there.
They build a subway?
Yeah, they just feel like it's been here too long. Let's build on top of it.
That's ridiculous. That's like tearing the front of the White House down and putting a Tim Hortons over in front.
Right. It's like that's exactly it. So that was like that kind of like boggled my mind how they would do that. But I guess they have so much old stuff that they were just used to it and said, "Hey, we need something more modern here." Well,
you know what? Like in America, they were tearing statues down of Robert E. Lee, maybe things like that.
Well, that's another thing I thought. Tons of statues there, and I was like, none of them are in jeopardy, because here all our statues, they come from a time when slaves are okay. So there's always nobody's rebelling against the statues there. It's all really celebrated people who everybody's happy with.
Well, the thing is, Europe was fighting wars since day one over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's been savagery over there for thousands of years.
Well, all the statues there, Mike, are saints, which nobody's railing against. Unless like the Muslim horde comes in again and takes over. The other statues are Charles IV, they all love Charles IV. He was the greatest king ever. And the other ones are like their first president and stuff. And it's crazy. They really venerate their leaders because of their history. I mean, they were kings and stuff like that. They had monarchy. Marie Antoinette from France?
Yeah.
Remember off with their heads? Her mother was the queen of the Czech Republic, or Bohemia at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
Louis XVI was a husband, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. During the French Revolution and all that.
Right after the American Revolution happened, right?
Right. Around that, yeah. Right.
Yeah, you know why? Because French helped fund the American Revolution, went bankrupt, and then they went crazy over there.
Right. Well, check this out. This is what I found coolest about the country. So they always ruled themselves, and then in World War II, the country Czech Republic is attached to Germany. So when Germany started to expand, they were grabbing lands, like they called the Sudeten land. Which,
how close are they? Like
touching.
Can you drive there?
You could take I think it was a couple-hour train ride or a quick flight, cheap flight over to.
So it's really that close.
Yeah, Austria, Germany, Czech Republic, they're all attached. And when
Belgium, that's there too, right?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I know when in World War II, when Hitler started walking into these countries, he was taking things on his border, saying, well, they were part of the massive Austrian-Hungarian German Empire from back in the day, so he had rights to them. So the Nazis took over there, and that, of course, wasn't fun.
No.
And there was places on our tours, just in the city, where there'd be gold plates on the floor, because that's where Jews once lived that were taken away and never made it back home.
Unbelievable.
Right. So once the World War II ended, the first country that came in was Russia. So they were just so happy to see anybody that they adopted.
Didn't realize what happened to them.
Right. They became communist. They hated it so much.
They opened their doors to some maniacs.
Right.
That's what happened. They had no choice, though. Think about it. They were being devastated by Nazis for years.
I guess you're right. They didn't have a choice.
Maybe the Russians played them. Made them look like they had friends, like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Michael Jacobs says most of our Christian traditions, like Christmas, were taken from pagans. Yes, we were.
But Sal, what else is close? I'm really bad at geography, right? So like Prague's nowhere near Scotland, Ireland.
No, that's all the way to the west of Europe. I was in northern western. I was in Eastern Europe, Elisa.
Oh, so what do you mean? What do you call it, like Scotland and Ireland and England? All that is
Western
Europe.
Yeah.
Right? But this is
Eastern
Europe,
right?
Like where the Ukraine is, Russia, Germany.
Exactly. Yeah, over there, right. So you could
Slavic, right?
Yeah, because it used to be Czechoslovakia. Like they wanted one Slavic nation with
Yugoslavia is over there, right?
Yeah, right. So you could see when the things that were built under communism, they're very bland and basic, and they're all like tan. We ate in a place that was once like a food hall during communism. And I guess it was you could just feel how boring and dreary communism was.
They wanted everything to be generic,
right?
Generic because they didn't want it to look like the Mayan Empire with gold and everything.
And you could feel because everything was supposed to be just functionality and basic, and the working class all contributed to the greater. But you could feel it, and I guess they were so miserable there. In 1969, a guy named Hans Pollock, he burned himself to death in front of I forgot what the name of the building was. There's a cross on the ground marking it, just to show how miserable they were. And I think the Velvet Revolution, they call it, started. And in 1989, after the Berlin Wall came down, the Czech government switched to capitalism and democracy because
that's so cool. Now they're like America, right?
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of people were thrown out of windows in exchange in the changing of the government. It was really cool history, and they've been through a lot. One of the German who was in charge over there for Hitler, I forgot his name. It was a Heydrich or something. He said about the Czech people that you got to keep constant pressure on them because if you don't, they're very stubborn. And once you take the pressure off, they snap back like a rubber band because they're willing to bend. So
they sound like they have some Italian blood in them.
Yeah,
they do sound real. They sound like that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful country, and it was so cheap. It was not like super cheap, but it was very affordable. Like one of our dollars equals like 20 of theirs.
Wow. So what do they use? What's the money? It's a euro?
It's called a koruna, but everybody calls it crowns.
What does it look like? It's weird.
They're paper bills with some of their old famous leaders on it, but mostly there's no change. There's no $1.50. It's like something will be like 350 crowns, right? So all the paper bills are the whole numbers. There's 100, 200, 500. Yeah, so 500.
No coins.
Well,
right?
Yeah, it's 100, 200, 500, and 1,000 in paper. And then when you break that, if you need 50 or 20 or 10, then it becomes a coin.
Wow.
So a whole coin would be 1 or 50.
I'd be so confused with the money.
No, I found it way easier because nothing is, like I said, in change. Everything's whole amounts. Nothing's ever $2.95. It's always.
How do they dress there, though? Are they hip? Europe has some great clothes. Especially go to Italy, they have great suits and stuff.
Well, Lisa loved their clothes. She commented on how all the women were always in beautiful dresses.
Gorgeous women there.
The Euros know how to dress sharp, that's for sure.
Well, the guys
look in style.
I noticed the guys they'll wear like shorts that come right above the knee and then they roll it. They roll it once. I was definitely the only one dressed like me there, I saw a British dude, a muscly British dude who was being a tourist there. He was real broing. He was broing out. He was drunk and being obnoxious. He was dressed like a muscly bro, but then he was wearing those awful sandals, not flip flops, like the sandals with the buckle.
He wasn't wearing the Romans stretch
not up to his knee.
No, but the thing is that the Euros have class and style and have dressed well. They really do.
Well, check this out too. Over there, that country, Czech Republic, drinks more beer than anybody else on the planet. And beer,
as much as Ireland, you think?
More.
That's
most beer on earth they drink.
How are they as drunks though? Are they
They didn't seem bad. Anybody I saw that was drunk was tourists. Every morning we found a pink puddle of vomit in the streets. But
that sounds like my grandfather and my dad's friend who lived there.
And the beer, Mike, is cheaper than water there.
Whoa, but how's the water there?
Well, that's the thing. Look, we got sick of buying. They sell water in 1.5 liter bottles. got sick of buying them all the time. So we'd buy one a day, and we would just keep filling it up with the tap water. And
They're Poland Spring now, or just their water?
No, it's always some weird name, some European name. It's whatever company they have there. Oh, they had Evian, and I had something every day called Vitel. And there was Dobra Voda, which was the seltzer. I was trying to buy a bottle of water. I bought seltzer by accident, but the water is $4 American dollars.
Did you see cigarettes over there are expensive than here? You think?
No, cheaper. That was the thing. So
that's unbelievable. Wow.
Beer was cheaper than water. A bottle of water was $4 American dollars, and a pack of cigarettes was $4 American dollars. So the cigarettes and water were the same price.
Well, so like a pack of Marlboro is only $4 there?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to load a truck up and bring him back.
Or 100 crowns is what it was.
Guys, what did you eat over there? That's I'm curious. Like, I mean, what's their food look? It looked good.
I had steak every night. They had some
like heavy meat eaters there. Like,
yeah, they had some seafood, but mostly like Lisa had like goulash every night.
Oh, goulash is awesome. I love Eastern European. You guys have pierogies?
No, that's Polish.
Oh, pierogies are I'm trying
Polish.
to think.
And
goulash,
Russian,
right?
Goulash kind of seems like
Russian. Oh, that's Polish, right?
No, they had a lot of sausage there, and I think they had God, I forgot what the sausage was.
How was the
bratwurst? The coffee. All right, Mike, I love the coffee.
Oh, that dessert you had, Lisa. That dessert you had.
Trittleneck. Let's get
How do you say it? Say it again. So
Trittleneck.
Trittleneck.
TRDL Nick.
What does it mean in English?
Fucking amazing is what it means. I think they would call it. Lisa thinks they call it chimney cakes here.
What's it like though? It's ice cream or just? It looked really good.
Yeah, let me hold on. Where were we first with the food, right?
Yeah, Trittleneck.
Trittleneck. Before we got to the dessert, we had a lot of sausages.
Was it good?
The thing is, I started basing like how much dinner costs. Like if I go out to eat to dinner, right? If say like $50 is where it's starting to get expensive. There, if we spend over 400 crowns, like a lot of the basic meals, breakfast and stuff, around 400 crowns, 600 crowns. So when we started getting to like 1,000 crowns for dinner at some places, I was like, wow, this is an expensive place. But then when I did the math, it was really only like $40 American. I was like, wow.
Whoa,
and that was like
incredible.
And that was like a fancy place.
You'd be paid $40 for a salad. Yeah, right.
Exactly. But the Trittleneck, so it's something that they call oh God. They say it's a traditional dessert there. So you don't see a lot of the locals eating it, but they say it's traditional to Czech. So we got it, and we had one every single day. But the best one was in the Jewish quarter because it was all right. So it's like a blown out churro, right? So imagine the consistency of a churro.
Oh yeah.
Well, right, and then it's got a hole in the middle, so it's like a chimney, and in the middle they put Nutella. And then vanilla ice cream, and the vanilla.
I'm gonna have a stroke right now. Listen to this.
And the vanilla ice cream there was unlike anything I ever tasted. It was like a yellowish, like it came out of the pussy milk tit of a cow, wow. And it was so delicious. Like the flavor in it.
You can't even get this in America. Right?
No, I had one every night.
Unless we go to a Czech neighborhood, they might have it, or not even. Because how can you really like get it here? Yeah. That's cool. This sounds like so much fun. How did you? Did you guys see sushi over there or no? Any Japanese or Chinese food?
We didn't stop for any sushi, but
Sal we did see a sushi place there.
Sal tried escargot over there.
Oh, well, I never had snails. Was it good?
It wasn't bad, but they made it with pesto sauce, and Sal doesn't like pesto sauce, so he wasn't a fan.
Because I've seen people eat snails. They look really good. They crunch like tomorrow.
They're different.
But the thing is, right?
Yeah.
You've seen a sushi place. I don't know about eating sushi in every other country. Who knows how to cook it there, right? But you know what? Like, where I used to work in the city, right?
Uh-huh.
They had a Chinese restaurant, not that far from there, good for lunch or dinner sometimes. I went in there one night, so they were closing. All the people who worked there were all Chinese people. They had lobsters like this, steaks, all stuff I never seen on the menu. I go, so this is what you guys really eat. And you give us the round-eye American food.
I want to do a podcast, though, about my trip there called The Podcast, so I really get kind of into depth about it. We went to a church where, like, in the 1400s, they decorated the whole thing with human bone. I had those pictures up. Like, literally bones. Like, they just built decorations, chandeliers in this with bones from the graveyard because they
How
had
people had passed on at school.
Yeah, it's insane with the stuff
I
saw
like
there.
that though. When you think about it, it's a memorial for people, really.
Our last day though, the concentration camp is a little depressing.
No, that's in horror.
We went to a town called Terezin. That's where the camp was. But in the town, it was the ghetto. They took all the Jews, they put them there, right? And the thing was, the Red Cross would come down to see what the conditions were like. So they made this town as beautiful as possible with the Jews there. So it looked like it was like a nice gift to the Jews that they could live there. Yeah, right. It was exactly. It was a front, but
they wanted the rest of the world to give them nights.
Right. So they had the kids like learning while they were starving and stuff, learning like art lessons. So they painted and stuff.
That's like Al Capone dressing as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It kind of is real when you think about it. Right? Yeah.
Oh, it's insane.
This is so much fun. I like hearing about other places.
I want to go back, Mike. I don't want. I actually, the thing is, like, I would want to live there, but I know that I wouldn't make enough money to live like a great life.
Well, what do people do for work there?
Well, I saw construction sites out there. I even saw companies that are they're doing construction, but you're a waiter, a waitress, you work at a hostel, or you give tours. We met a dude there from California, right? Great guy named Brandon Dukes. He came from California, went there, had such a great time. He decided to move there because he was like, the beer's cheap, the women are beautiful, as he puts it. I'm gonna have a great single life here. So he moved there. The day after he moved there, he met a girl, got her pregnant. Now he lives there.
Wow.
He got her pregnant. Yeah, he fell in love after we got pregnant. You know what I'm saying? These jerk off some work.
Guys and women explain marriage and romance different. Am I right? Well, there's two versions of it.
Yeah. Well, he didn't explain it that way. I think Sal was just trying to be funny.
No, that's exactly how he explained it.
No, but
how did he explain it?
He said he fell in love with her, and then he was there for 4 years. The baby's not 4 years old, so.
Did he not say the day after he moved there?
He fell in love.
Okay, well, that's how he puts it. But.
No, but the thing is, we both have a different explanation of love and romance.
Yeah.
Women's are more romantic. Guys are just kind of harsh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Hollywood Rob wants to know if we could call in. Listen, I didn't set up. I ordered the Skype number. I paid for it last time we did an episode. I didn't quite get it to work then, and tonight we kind of got started late, so I didn't really look into it. But feel free to comment on the YouTube live.
Yeah, we will have it set up soon.
Yeah, I just got to get here a little earlier one day. I mean, if I open Skype, you might be able to. I just let me see. I don't know, Mike. Go ahead, carry the show, Mike.
I don't know if we should open Skype. So you know what, we might open a can of worms right now.
You think?
Yeah, we'll set it up soon. You know what? I hate like talking to people. That sounds horrible.
All right, Mike doesn't want to do it tonight. We won't do it.
We'll do it next time.
We'll do it next time, right? Hollywood Rock.
I like talking. People can watch us and listen. That's why we're glad we got a camera here. People can see us at least. Sal.
Yes.
You hit a home run on Opie's thing. I know you did because he loves you, like I was saying.
I hope so.
No, and the thing was,
big fan of the guy.
If you told me or somebody else did, Anthony was giving. I thought Anthony might have given you crap, but he didn't though. He didn't
give me crap. He just kept seeing on Twitter that what Opie kind of said when you and I were on the episode, but he was more mad at what Opie saying on Twitter. I challenge you to find a show that's consistently funny as mine. So Anthony was pissed. I think his equipment that day wasn't working, so he had time to not go on with whatever show he was doing. So he went into that. And he was saying, he started making fun of like a million things he would name that were funnier than OP's show. And then he pointed out, did you see the video of it?
No.
He pointed out the episode you and me were on, and he showed the video, Anthony.
Anthony was lacing into us.
Not lacing into us. He was just describing. He's like, so Opie went to Mike Bocchetti's house. So this guy's there. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's Mike Bocchetti's producer. Calling me Mike Bocchetti's producer. But not insulting me. He just didn't know who I was. And he was like, and they talked about the O&A days. And that's what kind of sparked the conversation. But that was it. He didn't say anything bad. So I tweeted Anthony the picture of me and him shaking hands.
That's right. That was awesome.
When you took me
in October, yeah.
Yeah, when you took me to Compound Media, and I was like, Anthony, look, we met.
October.
He didn't respond at all. I thought I could segue it into, since he showed me on Compound Media.
I haven't talked to anybody over there. Really.
It was great. It's a dream come true. I got to be on OB Radio.
It was fun. The device he had. That's pretty cool.
Anthony, that's the thing. Anthony Kumi was abusing the device. He's like,
I heard that Anthony said we had better equipment than OB does.
He's
So,
just.
somebody did you tell me that or somebody else?
No.
Who told me that?
I don't know who was telling you all the stuff, but it was accurate because if you watch the video,
I watched the video.
it's on YouTube. It's
I
called.
thought you told me that. I wasn't sure who told me that.
It's on YouTube. It's called Anthony Accepts Opie's Challenge.
Maybe the twins told me. I think they did. They might have said that.
Yeah, well, they
Anthony-
probably did.
Anthony was goofing on we have better equipment than Opie.
Yeah, well,
He
if
does.
you YouTube Anthony Accepts Opie's Challenge, and then you go into 15 minutes in is when it starts, when he starts talking about this. And yeah, so he shows the clip of us. He says, I don't know who this guy is with Bocchetti, maybe Bocchetti's producer. And then he goes, look at the device Opie's holding. He said he's a multi-millionaire and he has that piece of shit device. But he's like, well, I'm sitting here with the whole studio. And then he points out, because your microphone was in the camera shot, which is being recorded on my cell phone, by the way, which is awesome. And Compound Media, Anthony Cumia has my footage that he's playing. How fucking awesome is that? And he goes, look at Bochetti's microphone. He's got better equipment than Opie does. It's great. And actually, when they sent me the video, Greg and Rob, they sent it to me. They said, Sal, look what you started. I feel pretty good about it.
We're doing up in New Hampshire, right? Is that a Sunday? Yeah, right. I think it's a Sunday. I'm not sure if it's Saturday. No, it's a Sunday night.
I got to give you like ADD medication. I can't even keep up with you. Maybe it's because I worked all day. You're just all over the place.
OCD versus ADD.
Oh, man.
You know why OCD is like a machine gun? It's like.
Could you imagine that lightsaber battle, OCD versus ADD?
That, and especially being juiced up with this looks out.
Oh.
OCD really racist. With
Oh,
this.
I did that to you. I did that to you, Mike.
No, you didn't do it to me. I did it to myself.
I got you that coffee.
No, but you know what though? It's OCD, right?
Yeah.
It's like a clock that will shut off when it gets going.
So Mike and me, if you're in New Hampshire or you want to drive 4 hours from wherever you are to New Hampshire, Mike and me are going with the rest of Fifth Borough Comedy. So it's going to be Mike, myself, John Kirshner, Farouk Hussein, Greg and Rob Cardizona hosting, of course. Neil Rubenstein, great comic.
He's really funny. I've seen him for the first time recently.
Such a nice guy, too.
He's like a big biker type that has a mellow voice, right?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah. Oh, my God, enough. Because I'm fucking sick of these Facebook groups. We get it. Shut up. Should I type that?
Why don't you just silence it like a normal person?
Because I did, but I also don't want to miss the link where you sign up.
Don't worry.
It's Brooklyn Comedy's 3-year fucking anniversary. And of course, I want to be on the show. So I'm waiting for them to send the link to sign up for it. But they won't fucking stop. I'm going to silence them for another 15 minutes. I did that 20 minutes ago. I didn't realize they'd still be just saying stupid nonsense to each other.
I left the group recently. The one Nick had going the other day. The twins told me to get out of there because it was annoying.
Yeah, but honey, I don't want to miss the sign-up link, and then everybody gets on the show before me. So what was I saying? New Hampshire. Also, Patrick Haggerty on that show. And it's going to be at Molly's Tavern in New Boston, New Hampshire.
Is Jerry there with us or no? Who's that?
Is Jerry on the show? I don't think Jerry's on the show.
But it's yourself? You said the twins, Pat, me.
Greg and Rob, Neil Rubenstein, Farouk Hussein, Allah Akbar.
Okay, nice.
All right, anyway, so Molly's Tavern, awesome. We went there last time, Farouk, me, Pat, and the twins. We had a great show. They liked it so much. They said, come back with more comedians. So we're doing it. Mike's coming. Another place with history, that cannon. They have that cannon in the middle of town.
The cannon, you guys say what do you call it? Does it fly projectile still? I hope so.
Do you know what the cannon is?
The American Revolution, right?
It was either American Revolution or War of 1812 when the Brits returned to get smacked in the tit again. And we captured that cannon from them. And they've held that cannon in that town since then and never
the Brits bullied a lot of people. They bullied us.
Okay, well, so we took their cannon away and they're never going to get it back.
They bullied the Irish. They bullied a lot of people.
We met, Lisa and me met two Brits when we were on the tour of Prague Castle. They took us to a place to eat. We were sitting with these two British kids, and we were talking about a lot of stuff, taking little jabs at each other. They said, "Do you know what the biggest stereotype about Americans is? Do you know what it is? That we're all stupid, Mike."
Well, you know what? We're not that stupid if we got rid of them jerks 1,000 years ago.
You hear that, England?
100 years ago.
Well, you know what I told them?
Yeah, but you know what I love? I don't care for the Brits much. I like the Irish and Scottish because, like Braveheart, I love that movie. I watched it the other night. It's like they smashed the British Empire after a while. I loved it.
Americana
Because I loved Scotland. It was awesome, and the Irish were cool because they just beat the Brits back. Well, the Irish really didn't now because they're still held under their thumb.
Well, half of the country is.
Well, Scotland fucking murdered the Brits. I love it.
So, you know what I said to the Brits? I said, do you know what the biggest, since we're trading stereotypes, do you know what the biggest stereotype for the British are? And they said, no, what? I said, terrible teeth, terrible food. And they said, oh, teeth. Ooh.
They're right. You know that and they have a thing for brutality.
Well, those two actually had nice teeth. And it was funny because when we got on the tour bus to go back to Prague, to the city, the girl was like, stop the bus. I left my phone in the loo. You know what the loo is, Mike?
Bathroom?
Yeah, she left her phone in the bathroom. So she runs off the bus.
I could think what else did it really mean.
Yeah. So she's looking for her phone, right? Holding the whole bus up. And her brother in the middle of this stands up in the bus and goes, I found her phone. It was right on the seat. She thought she left it in the bathroom, but she just lost it into her
That
ass.
sounds like something I would do. Yeah, but the thing is, the movie Braveheart,
What about
William
it?
Wallace is a badass. I love that.
Yes, he was. They say he was. And didn't he bang the Queen and then their son
I think he
became the next leader of England?
I think it was English Queen. England and France were battling each other too for a long time.
Constantly.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is who battled the English, I think. It was the French, the Scotch, the Irish, America, India, they fucking brutalized them for a long time.
Yeah, but
I watched this something. I forgot to tell you. I watched it on Amazon Prime called Ancient Warriors. They have everybody from Azarians, which is like in BC, up until the Zulu.
Are you talking about the Assyrians?
Azarians, yeah.
Okay, when you said Azarians, it was like, I think that's Star Trek.
Oh, no, the Rosarians, the Catholic people. No, but there was a group in India, right? They were called the elephant
fuckers.
No, Sal. India is usually always peaceful, like Gandhi, right? This is like
during the time of Gandhi, I'm sure. Yeah.
But BC, they'd be just as savage as the Roman Empire was, trampling people with elephants and everything, man. It was psycho.
The Persians too around that time.
Oh God, yeah. Pharaohs, the Persians, the Romans were intense, but some of these other people were just as bad, if not worse than them.
Yeah. So Sunday we did the Roast of Terrible Tim. You weren't there because you did watching comics.
Yeah.
And it's cool because a couple days.
Thanks to you for recommending me. It was a lot of fun.
Not so much that what Lisa Michiagno commented, and then it says message retracted. What did you say?
I said comics watching comics.
Oh, thanks. I didn't even see that. The message center, even on Americana. So Kevin Goatee messaged me a few days before, and I thought you had known each other from the scene.
No, I only met him once at Broadway Comedy Club. He was doing a podcast with Jeffrey Paul, I think.
Oh.
Some sports podcast, maybe? I forgot a while ago.
Yeah, they did it right. So he said to me, do you think – see, when he messaged me, I thought he was asking – I was like, is he asking me to do this show? Yeah, I thought that for a second.
No, but he said great stuff about it. He was telling me that he said you came – the first time he said you had a little bit of a hard time, but he said you came back and redeemed yourself. And he had so much fun with you. That's what he told me. Oh,
he's a great guy. He came on his show, Comics Watching Comics, is where himself and some other comics sit down and they judge. They do a critique on what they would call intermediate comics.
Some people were intermediate. Some people, I don't know if they were close to intermediate. I'm nice about it.
Well, the first time I did it, his rule was don't submit to this unless you're in 3 years or more. I was in a year and I lied to get in, and I got my comeuppance.
You're not the only one lying.
Fucking nailed him, Mikey. No, but I lied and I didn't do great. And when my thing finally, so I didn't do great, but it came out like over a year later when I wasn't even the same comic anymore. So it's like I had to eat this a year later, and so it was like old and rotten by that point. And on top of that, I was up all night working a shift, so I just didn't. I didn't handle.
Telling me how much you loved you. He said you redeemed yourself. You came back and killed. You had a good time, great time.
Yeah, because he let me come back and redeem, and not only that, he came on the slant right after mine.
That's right. He wants to come back again.
Right. He had a very nice, awesome, honest episode with us where he got to hear the criticisms from a lot of comics and answer them and tell his point of view. So I'm totally on board with him now. And then he came back again and did another slant to promote. So we're all cool. So he messaged me and what he asked was, do you think Mike Bocchetti would come on as a panelist to Comics Watching Comics? I said, oh, absolutely he would. I was like, and he's a really approachable, nice guy. Like, you could have just asked him. So I guess he asked you. And then he said, do you think he'd cancel? And I said, well, Mike Bocchetti
is notorious.
Notorious for canceling a very last minute. So, but I said, if you tell him how important this is, I'm sure he won't cancel.
No, but you know what, though? I was debating about it in bed that night, and I'm like, picturing your hands around my throat.
Yeah. I put myself out there, Mike.
I was like laying in bed, going like this. Like everybody has a good and bad conscience. My good conscience was like, Sal's your friend. Don't you dare let him down.
I stuck my neck out.
Was like, who cares, buddy?
Lay in bed and do what? What are you gonna do?
No, but listen to this. Good one out of evil, because the good conscience was like, Sal's your friend. How dare you let him down like that, right? But the bad conscience was like, who cares, baby? You always sleep. Make up some nonsense. You know what I mean?
How late would you have had to sleep?
But then I pictured Sal's hands around my throat. Bringing my doorbell, right? And the next thing you see is a pair of hands around my throat.
Mike, 95% of life is showing up. No, I've heard Jim Norton say that once. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, no, but how funny is that? I pictured ringing my doorbell. Is that the Italian to me? It's paranoid. Like, you ring my doorbell like too much now.
It's a lazy shitbag in you. Yeah, it's the lazy shitbag in you going, I'm going to stay in bed. Well, aren't you glad you went?
Yeah, I had a great time.
It's called networking, Mike.
Yeah, but you know what?
So you did it. I guess we'll see that episode when it comes out on Amazon Prime in a few months.
Season 8, he said.
Season 8. So then the day after you do it, I get a message from Kevin Goatee again. I thought my work was done. I should just be your fucking agent, because he said I have to pay Mike, but I guess you don't have a PayPal.
I got to get one.
And you must be a really trusting guy, because you just told Kevin to send me your pay.
Of course, you're my friend.
Oh, Mike. So now I feel really bad that I already blew it on the stock market.
Well, if you did, give me a share of Coca-Cola. That's okay.
I got your pay right here in my pocket, Mike. And I thought,
thank you, Sean.
I thought I'd give it to you a little bit at a time.
That's really bad, Sean.
I thought I'd give it to you
something naughty language, though.
A little bit at a time, Mike.
Please don't do this like that. I hate this.
A little bit
at a time. Sal, I hate doing this on camera.
It's just cash.
No, but I don't like talking money. We're
not talking amounts.
No, because Artie Lang did stuff like that. It annoyed the shit out of me.
All right, Mike, I'm sorry.
No.
You blow my bit, though, because you know what my bill was? Instead of going and get you big bills, I went and I got you the smallest bills I could, and I was going to give them to you in little increments. But you can't even look at them, so what was the point?
No, but the thing is, like,
here you go.
I'll give you good.
Like a real guinea, it's under the table, Mike.
No.
It's on. Take your money.
No. Sal, let's finish this first, right? I'm going to explain what happened with Artie. He would harass me with money.
How?
Like when we were on the show, one time he said, "Hey man, I made 20 grand the Carolyn."
But nobody's talking or bragging about how much money. This is your money.
No, what I'm saying, he said, "What did you make? How long did it take you to make 20 grand?" It's just a fucking pinhead about it.
Yeah, but no, nobody's saying that.
No, but you're not though.
It's burning a hole in my pocket.
I just don't like to talk about money on air.
Nobody's talking about it. We talked about check money for like 20 minutes.
I don't feel comfortable with it.
Oh, Mike. All right. No talking about money.
That's all right, though, Sal. You're not a mean guy. Artie's fucking. I'm not even going to talk about him now because
it hurts.
Back nightmares.
It hurts too much. Mike,
he's a good guy.
You were on a major show on was it DirecTV or Dish Network?
DirecTV.
So did that end because you were mad, or did it come to an end anyway and you just said you were mad?
It came to an end. Artie's health, he had diabetes. At least he had it for a bit. I don't know if he still does.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not sure.
The more you know, hon.
I don't know. But the thing is, right?
Yeah.
From heart, it all leads into one thing. If I would have kept eating like I did and stuff, right, I could have become diabetic because I drank at least how much soda a day I drank. I could drink a couple of gallons of soda a day.
Gallons?
No, I'm serious.
That's a lot.
Ice cream was I was eating like the Haagen-Dazs pints. 1 or 2 a day.
You'd love Trittleneck. The ice cream there makes the ice cream here look like trash, Mikey.
Gelatos.
Like $5 bills. That's a lot of soda. My mother claims that her cousin drank so much soda daily that his intestines burst from the gas.
It could happen, Sal. Who knows?
I was so scared when I was a kid that my intestines would explode.
I don't know. Maybe she just said that to scare the shit out of you, too. I think so, because you'd have to drink like a goddamn 10 Coca-Cola trucks worth of shit for that to happen.
It was either that or you know how they say if you pour soda on like paint on a car, it'll eat the paint away? It was either that or it ate his stomach away.
Probably the stomach. I think about it. You see what it does to a car. Yeah. Who knows
all those cars out there.
No, but the thing is, I think... Did you play a lot of pranks with people growing up?
Yeah.
I could tell Lisa. How much of a prankster is Sal? I picture you in your youth, Sal, like as a young kid making a lot of prank phone calls.
Oh my God. I've spent, Mike, throughout high school, I spent entire weekends with my best friend, Nick.
You're not the only one. My brothers did. We did.
Yeah.
Those days there was no call ID or anything.
No, I mean, I was doing it during the advent of caller ID. They started to come out, but we would take a phone book and we just run down the phone book calling people. But if you dial, even today it works, if you dial *67 first, it makes your number private.
It's funny because the way how things change, pranking people. We'd like one time I called up a bakery, right? And I told my brother that he called up a fish bait and tackle shop. So the first words were, "Do you have any worms?" Yeah. Yeah, he's screaming at him on the phone. Sal from Howard's Thirster makes some great prank phone calls.
Pranks are fun when you really get them going. There was this woman we used to when I was in like early, like right after high school. My friends and I would just sit in the car all night and hang out and smoke weed, and we would call random numbers on the phone, on the cell phone, *67 random number, and hope to get a good one on the other line. And one time we got this woman. She must have been Polish or Russian. And she would fight with us. If they just hang up,
foreigners love to fight.
Yeah, if they just hang up, the prank call is ruined. They're like somebody who's just not fighting back, you know. But this woman would fight back. She would scream at us in Russian, and then we would do this every night for like a week. And we thought one night we like made her malfunction because instead of just yelling back, she just started going like. And we thought maybe she was like, my friend Nick is convinced she was putting like the Russian hex on us, like some type of mystic Malocchio or some shit.
They have all that shit over there probably because Sal from Howard's Thirster called a pizzeria.
Yeah.
And he got this old Italian guy. It was a Norman Hill. Oh, no, what happened on there because, like, have you watched Abbott and Costello?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Mr. Bocchetti that's like a phone call, like old Italian guy, right? Sal called him up and he goes, "My grandfather just died. And we wanted the case and flew to the house." And the guy goes, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "Yeah." He goes like this. "What do you want first?" He goes, "What do you got on the menu?" He goes like this. He goes, "We have eggplant." And he goes, "Grandpa hated eggplant."
We used to call the locksmith because they would be open 24 hours. And my friend called once in the middle of the night and he pretended he was stuck on the side of the road, locked out of the car, but his 2-year-old child was locked inside the car. And he's like, you know, acting frantic. And in the middle of the call, he just goes, "Oh no, she's out on the highway." Or we call one time, we would call like the plumber, the emergency plumber in the middle of the night, and we'd pretend like we were an old woman, and we'd be like, "I'm up to my knees in shit over here." Shit like that. Or we used to call.
You guys are sick. I thought that you guys should have been on Jackass or like on a Jerky Boys.
We thought we should have, but everybody thinks they should record what they do. But we would sit in the car.
How old are you guys?
High school.
Okay.
Or we would sit in the car smoking weed, and we'd call a cab. We called 3 cab companies to the same address, a few houses down the block, and we would just sit there and watch as one car arrived and honked and waited, and then another car would show up, and by the 3rd car, they're like, "They fucking got us," you know.
I would never call food people to do that though.
Why?
You wasting food, you know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't order pizzas anywhere.
There's some people used to.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's fucked. Everybody loses there.
The people in the restaurant, the people driving get screwed around with.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you say we wrap it up?
Okay.
All right. So August 19th, New Hampshire, Molly's Tavern, New Boston, New Hampshire. And August 21st, I'll be at the Stress Factory for Elazar Guzman's birthday show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And there's something on the 24th, the Brooklyn comedy thing, whatever.
Oh, you on
3-year anniversary.
Pepper Jacks?
We always have a spot there if I want it, which is the 24th. So, yeah.
That's a Friday, though, I think, this time, right?
Why are they doing it on a Friday? What happened to Sunday?
I think it's a Friday. Don't quote me. It could be.
I'm not going to quote you. All right. Well, thanks for checking us out. This is Mike Bocchetti at Mike Bocchetti on Twitter, Instagram, and at Sal Cola Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. Also at Slant Show. Slant's going to be coming back. We've taken a few weeks off. We'll probably be doing that again.
Wait, I love doing the Slant.
Yeah, we got to have Kevin Goatee on. He's been on the Slant twice. So I told him maybe he'd do it on Americana one night. Maybe we'll do it up.
I can't with Riley too. I love that dog.
Yeah. Yeah, Riley loves you too, Mike. A little too much, if you know what I mean. So, guys, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you again next week. Say bye to the people, Mike.
Bye, America and other places that love us, and we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.